about what sourcing is all about? What are your findings? Let's begin with one of you. Yeah, Veena, let's start with you.
Sourcing is basically we find out what are the different sources for getting the candidates, and we have what is called as the social media. We have like Twitter. Then another most important site is the LinkedIn, where many big companies post their job requirements directly in LinkedIn itself. And through basically, I think it is social networking. And
Right?
then we have job portals. Then
Huh?
you have, in-job referrals are also there. That is also another, it's not an external sourcing. It's just that first process for taking people from inside.
Right.
Then, then what? You can put an advertisement. That is also another way, like if you want in local newspapers these days, I think newspapers, the usage of newspaper is very less. Then in addition, you had mentioned about that push and pull thing, which I had at that time argued that is unethical,
Yeah.
which is now ethical.
It is called executive search also. Headhunting and
Okay,
executive search are the two names that we give it
okay, okay,
generally.
okay.
And mostly it is for higher level hiring, leadership hiring, or for an
Okay.
exclusive role. So that's an important thing to me. So for junior roles, you generally don't waste that much of time unless that junior role obviously is really important for the organization. So how crucial the role is and how senior the role is, that's how we design
Okay.
executive search and headhunting. All right, so who will go next after Veena? Archana? Okay, yeah, let's go.
So apart from this, I got two interesting sourcing methods.
Very nice.
Like I like them. One was boomerang employees, and other was talent pool database. So I found these to be a very new
Yeah.
methods. Boomerang employees
They are
basically refers to
databases basically, not really. They are tools, what we call them. So these are softwares which are available. So there are many more. Talent Edge, Boomerang, um, many, many.
boomerang is basically hiring the past employees.
Yeah. So
So
Boomerang is
some
a
few have
software
already
that helps you in hiring past employees. You create the
and
database internally. Yeah, correct.
talent pool database is hiring from those CVs which we have already received, but for
Correct.
some of the other reason hiring did not happen.
Very good.
So
Yeah.
from there you can like go through the CVs again and hire those people.
Right. So this we call internal data pool. Good. Very nice. Okay. Gulshan, you will go next.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So tell me, what did you do?
Even for this planning, they will have to gather information from the uh,
Your voice is not
with
coming
the
clear. Can speak a little louder? थोड़ा सा ऊंचा बोलो please.
Yeah. Now am I audible?
Yes, very clear. Good.
In the workforce planning, we will have to gather the market data and the source of data of the market and the information and analyze our organization in uh, in whatever organization we are working and and we should also take care about that is the supply and demand because it also play most important role and we should also take care about that is develop your implementation and timetable and
Timetable of what? You're talking about workforce planning entirely. What we are discussing today is talent acquisition, which is sourcing, recruitment
and
के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं हम.
and
Workforce planning is done. So good, you have worked on that, read on that. Yeah.
we will have to I will have to give on the that is recruitment.
Yes, sourcing is a part of recruitment. So workforce planning was the topic which we ended yesterday. तो वो कल खत्म हो गया था पूरा, along with job analysis. So now the next topic we are starting, which is called recruitment, and sourcing is a very integral part of recruitment. Yeah. So Good that you read about
Today
workforce
I
planning. Yeah. So next week on Saturday, come prepared by reading about sourcing as a technique of hiring or recruitment. Yeah. I'll give you certain pointers today. I'll give you some practical exercises to do so that you can start working on it immediately. After giving you certain
sourcing
techniques,
means
yeah, I'll come
sourcing
to
means I've
that.
not got it
I'll
actually.
explain that. You know, let's hear from everybody else. Everybody has done their research, so let's hear from everybody else, and then we will come to.
Actually, ma'am, today I make a presentation on the workforce planning.
Very
Can I
nice.
share?
So
Can I share that
yeah, yeah.
particular
So what we
presentation?
can do is, in last 15-20 minutes, I'll give it to you, Gulshan, to share the presentation.
Okay, ma'am.
Huh?
Thank
ठीक है?
you.
That will be okay. Good. So Rupesh, now it's your turn. Did you do the research on sourcing?
No, ma'am.
All right. So tell me, what did you find out? He did or he did not? He said yes or no? I hear-
No, this time I am saying no.
This is the second time you are saying me no in the class. So punishment मिलेगा next
I
time का
am
सबसे
leaving.
ज़्यादा. हाँ, Rupesh will get more homework next week than
Yes,
everybody
ma'am. Yes,
else.
ma'am. Definitely.
Done. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Neeru. What's your finding? Mic is off. Switch on the mic. Yeah. Not audible. Some problem. Your voice is not coming to us. Not coming. Neeru. Yeah. Still not coming. It's okay. You find out what is the problem with the mic. In the meantime, we'll hear from Sarmangla ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
here
Oh,
only, ma'am.
tell me. Let's start with
Is
yours.
it? That is, it could be talent acquisition or it could be recruitment. You know, it may sound same, but it is different uh, because talent acquisition is more into, we have to uh, set a goal as to what are the things or what are the qualities or what are the skills that should be going into a particular job. Whether it exists or not, we have to fix on that first, and then we have to conduct the all the process that is being conducted into the recruitment. Whereas in the
Right.
recruitment, maybe already it is existing, the already the job is also existing, so maybe only deletions and additions according to the need of the job is being induced into it. Sometimes there might be some additions that we require, rather the current job a person is doing, and if a new person is taken into that position, it may need certain other skill set which is not there in the existing person. So
Right.
it could be either, they could be trained onto it. The particular people could be trained on to getting those skills, and then they can be deployed in different areas, whichever is desirable. Or else otherwise those people, as it is, they could be recruited in the recruitment process, they could be recruited and they can be inducted, because if they are known to the company or they are inside the company itself, no need of further induction, only they just need to be familiarized. Otherwise the induction process and all the process that is going through the interview, all the strategic planning, whether we have to give the advertisements, etc., all the process has to be done. Segmentize the, we have to, the candidates has to be segmentized as per the performance, and
Right.
then only the final, the candidate is selected. If it is given for outsourcing also, they will be giving us a data where all the process is done, and the final decision is taken by the company or the top officials
Correct.
who is in charge of the particular company.
Company. Okay, so that's the entire talent acquisition process that we explained. We are currently talking purely about, we will start with sourcing. So that's very good that you cleared out the entire process. Yeah, Veena? Hanji.
Ma'am, can you please tell what is the difference between recruitment and talent acquisition? Like talent acquisition is one name which has come, new. It is new. I mean, for me, it is new.
Yeah,
So
we'll
what
come
is the
to that.
difference between?
We will do that. We will come to that particular point. You know? I'll have
It
the
is-
slides prepared. So we
Okay.
will
Ma'am, I
have that
think
discussion.
I think this term came into being maybe sometime in 2005, 2006 time, I think.
Yeah, very new. It's a
Because
very new term. See, as much as when you look into the entire life cycle of human resources, the human resource in itself has changed over 50, 60 years. Right? Earlier, it was more of a personal administration. First, it was administration largely, which was taking care of purely the welfare of the employees within the organization. Then it became personal management. So personal management was like, taking care of the individuals within the organization, whether they are doing hazardous job or not, whether their safety is being taken care of, whether, their health is being looked after really well by the organization. So largely that, keeping in mind that how India was actually a hub of textile industry during that time when HRM started. So HRM started with Tata as a major company. All the labor laws that you see around, or the laws and acts that you see even now, majority of the laws and legalities around HRM is being designed by Tata itself. Rest of the other things started coming in when the other organizations started coming in. So that's the history of HRM, how it started growing from administration to personal management and now to human resource development and management. So some organization call it human resource development, some organization call it human resource management. New terminologies keep coming in like talent management, talent pool, talent acquisition. So as much as new kind of companies will get introduced to the market, for example, a lot of entrepreneurs started coming in with e-commerce and IT companies, IT related companies, which we call ITAS industry. So as things will start changing in the market, the new terminologies will always start coming in. And yes, the role of HR will also change. Earlier, like, it was more from manufacturing setup because textile industry was huge. And hence people were just talking about the labor laws, whether the people are looked after in the factory, what are the timings and shifts, basic facilities like toilets and hand cleaners, uh, things that they have to wear, uniforms or other things are there. So the gears.
their time of rest also, ma'am, isn't it? The time that they should be given rest for 1 hour
Right,
after
right.
the
So that
lunch.
the time and work study we used to do. So this was all history. But as things started moving in a different direction, labor laws also started changing. There were some amendments which was made. So it was not really very huge amendments which was made, but yes, it got changed. So everything that we do in HRN even today has their basics from the laws that we have, right? So for the laws, because we do not have too much of time, so we will have 1 or 2 classes on laws where I'll give you the basics of major laws that is important for you to study and understand. Because this talent acquisition entirety is also based on certain laws and legalities that we have to keep in mind when we are hiring people within the organization. So we will have that lecture also. Apart from that, as
One second, ma'am.
yeah.
Are we to know a bit of the company law which has come into vogue from 1956? Are we to know that also? Need
Yes,
to?
yes, a little bit about that, which is related to HRM or people's compensation and timings and all that. That much. So I'll give you the name of the acts. You can go through that in companies laws. Otherwise, labor laws are good enough to understand. I mean, acts and laws related to labor. So what I was saying that as we are hiring millennials now, so millennials are the people who are born after 1990 or 2000. So these are the people who are more integrated into IT or technology. So this generation has seen mobile phones, gadgets, technology from the time they are born. So obviously the methodology, the way they work and how we used to work has a long gap in itself. So how people now hire people within the organization has also changed. It has created a larger impact on the workforce planning also. So earlier, the traditional method of hiring or sourcing used to be like, job portals, putting an advertisement in the newspaper or in the, local sites, all that things. But now people are hiring through Snapchats also because they know a lot of youth is available on Snapchat. That's how. So a lot of youth is available on WhatsApp. So WhatsApp hiring is also happening. So hiring and sourcing has taken a very long lead, keeping in mind that what kind of workforce you're hiring for your organization. Right? And it is not necessary that the traditional methods are not working even now. The traditional method is still working as well as we are incorporating new methods of hiring. Right? So we will talk about that today. So good, every one of you have done research. Neeru, you have still have to say something. Mic is working? Not working? You're on mute. So I think, yeah. I can hear some noise in the background. No, your voice is not coming. It's okay. That's fine. So what you have to ask, you can write in the chat. So let's begin with today's class. I'll just start sharing the screen so that you can see. So this is talent acquisition. So sourcing and recruitment are an integral part of talent acquisition. I hope you can read the slide. The picture is clear. I'll send the PPT, don't worry. So let's just concentrate on discussing and understanding the function really. See, because after we have done workforce planning and job analysis, it is really important to understand this function, because this function again creates, we are hiring talent now, and after that, whatever we will study will be called talent management. So this is the point where we are actually bringing talent inside the organization, the people that you require to do the job. And that's where we need to understand a lot of things which are not mentioned. So, when people talk about sourcing, which is the foremost thing. So you can see at the top there is identification and understanding, which you have already done. So job analysis, job description is the portion where we are doing identification and understanding of the people that you require for your organization. Correct? It is very similar to, for example, you are at your home, you're managing your entire home, and you want to hire certain helpers in your for your home. It can be drivers, it can be maid, it can be malis, whatever. So what is the process of hiring at home when you're looking for these people is very similar to what we are doing in the organizations, right? So there is a parallel thing. So we as a woman have been doing it, I don't know for how long. And that is the reason why, my mentor used to say that women are better HR managers, because they already know how to manage the entire human resource in the family also, in terms of studying, taking care of their nursing facilities and everything. So, we manage all that. In some places, it's not really gender biased, but there are males also who does this job really well at home also. So identification and understanding is workforce planning and job analysis we have done. Next point comes is sourcing. The sourcing is very important because sourcing opens up the channel from where you are actually bringing in the applicants inside. Right? Recruitment comes very late in the entire process after screening. So sourcing and screening is done at the first, and then we start doing the recruitment process, which is, you have seen the applications. The applications have come to you, have seen the application, you have matched the application with the requirement that you have, and then you pass it on to the interviewer, whose job now is to start meeting the people on the calls or personally, face to face, do the test, take examination, or whatever process of recruitment that they have to follow. Right? So talent acquisition is a larger system. Then sourcing, recruiting, interviewing, verification, onboarding, joining formalities, all these are integral part of talent acquisition. All right, so let's go through the strategies. So what are the strategies of recruitment generally that the companies follow? So first, it starts with referral programs or alumni programs in the organization, where you already have people from certain campuses, and you go back to those campuses, or you ask your existing employees who are working in your organization to open up the channels where you can go back to their institutions and ask them to join your organization. That's why, like, Sir Mangla ma'am told us yesterday that she's taking care of that alumna sector completely. This is where it brings help and support in talent acquisition programs, right? Referral can be through alumni, or it can be through employee to employee. So, for example, you're all working in an organization, your friend, your relative has those skills for which the job advertised has done by your organization. So, you go to HR and say that, I have few people I can recommend, and then you submit their CVs or resumes, and that's how the referral program starts. Generally, organizations have very good referral programs where they offer certain what do you say, compensation when you refer somebody to the organization, because it's a very cost effective method for organization. So instead of actually doing more expenses on consulting, job portals and other spaces, what they do is they prefer giving it to their own employees as a compensation, or as a reward, whatever you want to call it. So there can be very various creative methods of rewarding their employees also. 6 दिन का vacations दे दिया, for their son they give son or daughter, they give some education policy, LIC policy, different kind of things. So HR has gone into total creativity in terms of giving rewards and recognitions to their employees. Then second part is professional networks and social networks. Yeah, Veena. Yeah.
Does it, I mean, this is just out of curiosity, I'm asking, does it happen that there is an employee who does a lot of referrals, and he has a chance, or he is invited by the HR team that you also come along with us because you are bringing in a lot of good
why
people?
not? Why not? If he
I'm
or
just
she has
asking,
an interest.
does it happen?
It happens when they show
Okay.
the interest also in joining. So, for example, the person is really good at marketing and sales, and because these
Okay.
people go out, build relationship, or they have very good networks, so they can actually give a lot of references. But it may not necessary that they want to join an HR department. So, totally willingness and the way they want to go ahead can be done.
It happens sometimes, like sometimes it happens how the employees, because the reference also that the employee is referring the candidate also, it would be good because the employee has such credibility. That is
Yeah.
also a reason why certain employees are given, because in our campus, whenever there is a need for some person, in fact we are called, especially I'm called to the director, and he himself tells such an opening is coming up, do you have any candidate? So I
Which
was
is very
at
nice.
first
Yeah.
I was taken aback. Why should he telling me? He should be telling me he can as well put it in an advertisement or something of that sort. Later I understood that I just inquired and they came to know that because whoever I've given, they are becoming an asset to the organization, maybe because of that.
Absolutely true. So this entire exercise of referrals, alumni, and professional networks and social networks that we are going to discuss, this is also a very important part of how employer branding is done. So you will see this phrase very commonly used these days, that employer branding is being done by the organization. So what does it mean that the organizations were branding themselves earlier also, but in terms of only selling their products and services. So as a part of the marketing they were selling. Now employer branding actually opens up the area where they are doing branding within the organization as well as outside the organization in order to acquire more better talent within the organization. So the better your employer branding is, in terms of, people giving good reviews about you on Glassdoor, or people writing good reviews on your website, or people, talking good when, even when they are working in your organization. So these are the parts of employer branding, which is also a very important part of talent acquisition. So then comes the professional networks and social networks. So professional networks can also be alumni, right? Or other networks. For example, LinkedIn can be one. And there are other groups and other networks that organizations have joined in. So that is also a channel from where you can source the candidates. Social networks, you already know that social media, which is Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. Now everywhere you can see that, even on WhatsApp, a lot many positions are coming up. So there are people who are using WhatsApp marketing, and they market their positions there also. So that's social network. Now, social networks actually help you in certain organizations. For example, you're hiring for a media company. So you have actually seen the profile of the candidate on LinkedIn, but you can't find out their phone number sometimes, because not all the candidates put their phone numbers or email IDs out there. So what you can do is then you can search for those candidates on Facebook. That will give you, because media requires some people who are smart looking as well. So how they look and how they carry themselves plays a very important role in media and event organizations, advertising agencies, and all that. So that's where you can actually look into the entire portfolio of the candidate, that what is the kind of candidate that is, what is the likes and dislikes, because Facebook we generally share a little much more about ourselves than what we do on LinkedIn. So that's how you can actually search for the candidate on Facebook and start getting to know, build your relationship, and then you can acquire the candidate. Diversity recruiting and campus recruiting. So the campus recruiting, we all know that we go to the campuses, or campuses invite us, the HR heads of the organization, the HR executives of the organization, and they ask you to share your job descriptions for whatever jobs which are open. 90% of cases it is freshers, hiring freshers only from those organizations during campus recruitment. It's only by chance if you get older alumni also, and then you recruit them. But 99% it is freshers only that you recruit. So it can be engineering, it can be MBA colleges, it can be B.Ed colleges, anywhere. You go into the places, and you will find campus recruitment is a very popular method of sourcing. Now, diversity recruiting is, what do you mean by diversity recruitment? Chalo, let me ask this. So, diversity, what do you understand by the word diversity?
Diversity is from people from different backgrounds, like even women and men. That is making sure that the gender bias is not there.
Yeah.
Empowering women and giving more platform to women to enter and perform. That is one aspect.
Yeah.
And
So
another
male and
is
female is one aspect. What are the other aspects?
other aspect is like you are also looking at like promoting, say for example, Facebook pays extra to black engineers, lady engineers, to promote them when they are recruited.
Correct.
Like such things.
Right. So diversity is basically hiring through various races without looking into their caste, gender, race, and similar things. So there are three genders basically, women and men, and the third gender, which we call other gender as well. So this is where now the organizations have opened up to hire transgenders and people who are uniques, and people who were not getting chances to go into the corporates earlier. So you will see, जैसे हिजड़े आप लोगों ने देखे होंगे, So these are the people who are commonly involved into one basic thing, which is बधाई देने जाना या किसी के घर पे चले जाना जब बच्चा पैदा हुआ या शादी हुई है. But now the market is opening up for them. I have worked very closely with these people. So transgenders are now opening up to learning and developing their own selves. So they're getting those opportunities to getting inside the colleges for admissions, doing MBAs or engineering and other places also. Though the numbers are really limited, because most of the people are not really opening up to have those people coming into the community and society. but still at larger places, South, I think in Karnataka, there is a woman, I mean, there is a transgender who has been chosen as, what do you call it, MLA. She called herself she, but she's a transgender and she has been selected as one of the MLAs. So that's the first thing that has opened up for those people. So diversity actually opens up the doors for everybody, no matter what race, what caste, what gender. Yeah, Dina.
Then,
Uh,
like, where do you put this? I mean, I really don't know. LGBT, where, what is that?
LGBT is also part of this. Transgender.
Okay,
You know?
so,
So LGBT
okay.
is basically not transgenders actually. LGBT is basically people who have a specific sexual preferences.
But what does it have it to do with work? I mean, how is it
Generally,
related
what
to?
happens is that most of the organizations are not opening up to the idea of hiring these people. One very basic problem that comes in the organization is the toilet, use of toilets. So generally you see
Okay,
at public places or even in the corporate offices or other offices, there are two toilets only, male and female. There is no third toilet for the transgenders. So you don't know which toilet they will use, whether they
okay,
will go into, because in transgender or people who are eunuchs, what they do is either they are male or female. I mean, there are certain complications in their body. People who are
okay,
naturally born like that. Then there are people
okay,
who are not born like that, but they are into that form. So suppose you are a woman, right? You are born as a body of woman, but within yourself you feel that you are actually a man, not really a woman. So that's
okay,
also part of transgender. So now these people have a very big complication of using the toilets. Men don't allow, women don't allow. So where do they go? So now many corporates have opened up to the idea that they will bring in different kind of toilets for them as well. So where they
okay,
can actually go and use. So the idea of diversity is hiring from whatever people are available without keeping any biases, any stereotypes, any preferences in the mind when you are hiring. And the first and foremost thing in terms of hiring through diversity is that the HR people will have to open up their mindset, because how society works, we cannot work in the same manner. You know. So keeping aside those biases and stereotypes is a prejudices is really, really a very big task, and it comes only with practice. So when we say HR is a role where you have to keep your mind and heart open in terms of acceptance of people, this is what we talk about. And not just HR, the leadership management of the organization has to open up to the idea of actually hiring. Right? Another part in diversity is disabled people, people who have some kind of form of disability. It can be a little minor mental disability or physical disabilities. So incorporating them in the workforce is really important, because little disability will not make you completely disabled to join an organization. You still can have skill set. So we are a part of the organization called Sarthak Educational Trust, where we teach disabled people. We give them skills so that they can be incorporated in the organization. So lot many organizations are opening up to this idea. Majority of the organization are opening to this idea as a part of the CSR, but it should not be a part of the CSR actually. It should come into diversity recruitment, because people have skill set. So companies like hotel industry, retail, they can actually hire. So you will see that there is a cafe coffee day. I think it's a cafe coffee day or barista, which is run by all the mute and deaf people. I think it's in Vikaspuri, somewhere in Delhi. The complete branch is run by mute and deaf people. So there are certain outlets where companies are actually experimenting it with whether they can do it or not. And actually, they saw that the outlet did very good sales during their first quarter itself when they opened up. I think they opened up in the month of in 2015, 16, sometimes like that. So the more you will open up to the idea of hiring skills, merit, and qualification rather than looking into the caste, creed, race, gender, it will bring more difficulty. So diversity hiring is like that. So diversity and inclusion is a very big topic, which is now in market. People are talking about it. People are recruiting people, opening up the channels, and we have. If you go through the chapters that we will be discussing, we have a complete chapter on diversity and inclusion. So we will come to the strategies, how companies are actually building strategies, what are they doing differently during that time. But I have given you a basic idea today because it's a part of recruitment also. Then comes the market research and competitive intelligence. Before we get into any of the sourcing methods, it is really important for us to do a market research about the position. So position you have already finalized during your workforce planning. Job analysis you've already done through various methods that we discussed. Now, why do we do market research? Market research is generally done in order to find out what kind of compensation you will give to this particular position in your company. So suppose you are hired as an HR manager tomorrow. So your skill set is totally different from each other. All of you are totally different. And so are the organizations who might hire you as an HR manager. Right? So looking into your experiences, your skill set, what you know, what kind of certifications and qualifications you have, your compensation would be fixed. Another thing that the companies keep in mind is what are my competitors paying to the similar position. So I'll keep my market value of the position similarly, a little higher or a little lower, depending upon what kind of profits my company is making. Then competitive intelligence, talking about completely competence of the person. So what kind of competencies the person is bringing in for that position. So we discussed this. We will go into the details about it today. Uh, so competency mapping is basically talking about what skill set the position should have within the organization. So for example, we created a position of sales head yesterday, yeah, during the exercises. So sales head should have 4 5 things that the person should be smart in terms of building relationship and networking. Second, the person should be smart enough or skilled enough to bring in the revenues for the organization. Third is that the person should be a really good team player or a leader. Right? So these are 4 5 skills that the sales head should have. Now should may and could may, there would be a difference. Right? So now suppose all 6 of you apply for this position of sales head. So Sir Mangla ma'am, Veena, Neeru, Archana, Rupesh, Gulchan, all of you. Right? So now you all have a different kind of skill set to apply for this particular job. Right? So now these 6 applicants who have come for, okay. So where were we? We were talking about the competitive intelligence. So now all 6 applicants applying for one particular job. So what is the kind of competitive intelligence you are bringing? Different skill set, different kind of background, different kind of qualifications, and different competencies for sales head. So whosoever matches the should will be higher in the organization closely. So all those competencies that we're talking about, negotiation skills, analytical skills, creative thinking, all that, whosoever has the maximum will be hired for the position in the organization. So that's how competitive intelligence and competency mapping is done in the company. Now, whatever competencies, wherever competencies may you are lacking right now, those competencies will be noted down. The gaps will be noted down by the HR people or the recruiters. And then later on, when you are in the organization during your onboarding or induction, or later on in various training programs that the organization will organize, you will be invited to join those training programs where your competencies are lacking. Right? So that's the major part of it. Then comes the job boards and career sites. So very similar, simple thing. Job boards can be job portals, which is Naukri.com, Shine, and other. There are so many new which has come up now. So these are the job roles. For the employer has to buy some kind of membership subscription, and then you can start posting your jobs onto that job boards. So career sites are also like that. So LinkedIn is a career site. There are many other career sites available in the market. The more you search, you will get to know. So it's very simple.
Naukri,
Jagdish.
no?
Sorry,
Naukri.com.
Naukri is job portal. Yeah, it can be career site also. Can be.
McCoy, I think they are into training also.
Many organizations have come into recruitment space now. So they see that not many. Earlier when I had joined HR in my initial days, recruitment was not really that very hot selling kind of a function. People used to actually get scared of recruiting. It was one of the part of HR. But later on, it became such huge because companies started facing problems. Even though we are a highly populated country, but still we do not have skilled workforce available to do job. Or what are the expectations of the organization in terms of how organizations are building up in terms of their technology, artificial intelligence, matrices or analyzing databases and all. The institutions and the education setup that we have is still not teaching those things. That is the reason why such courses which we are doing right now here in the YSI, these courses actually are bridging that gap between corporates and education system. Understanding the practicality of how HR is being done. So who is teaching it? There are few private institutions who are teaching it, and they are charging huge amount of money, 1,50,000 rupees. So I am Rohtak has started similar kind of course that you are studying right now, and they are charging 73,000 rupees for 15 days. It's a crash course, 15 days, practical HRM, HR analytics, 75,000, and you will learn all that. And I'm not sure in 15 days what are you going to learn. So, so that is the kind of things which are available in the market.
Not only that, ma'am, because there is a gap between the the prospective employee and the student, or
Right.
the
Yeah.
prospective employee, and what are the expectations of the employer. So
Yeah,
in order
because
to fill the
the
gap,
education systems
use
have not changed the curriculum in the manner that is required by the organization. If you remember, I told you about that is the reason why HCL has opened up their own university. uh, Infosys has their own training center. So when they actually take students who are 12th pass now, and they train them internally in the languages or in the coding programs and whatever they have to teach, they teach them those technologies, sign a contract that they will not leave the organization for that much time, because they are now experimenting with this idea that they are becoming the education system for utilizing those technologies and bridging that gap. So all larger organization conglomerates that we call can do it. For the smaller
also
organization, MSME sector, it is still a very critical situation.
Also, Zoho is there. Zoho.
Zoho is a software.
Yes, they also have this program of they do recruitment from interiors. They have their own recruitment where they put children. They teach them. They have class also for 2 years, and after that they are employed.
I didn't know about that because I have used Zoho in the organization, but I was not aware about this thing. Very nice. Good to know that.
and also these people they are into training the students, and they are allowed to take the test like AMCAT and CoCubes,
Yeah.
because certain tests they have to clear, and then only they will be taken into whichever company it is.
Organization. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So you're aware of all these things, right? So that is really important factor of hiring people within the organization. Then the next comes is networking events and jobs fair. So networking events are basically there are a lot of private events some companies organize, and what they do is they actually bring in students direct from the universities and colleges, and they bring in employer on a same platform where they can meet each other and build relationship or hire. Yeah, so that's one way. Job fairs are very similar to networking events, one of the part of the networking events. So in job fairs also, uh, both the employer and the institution sign up, they are invited at one place at one time. The candidates meet the recruiters and they can meet various companies at one point in time. So how it is different from campus? In campus recruitment, what happens is generally, if you have already been given a offer letter by one organization, you cannot apply for other interviews. In job fairs, it is a very open market. So in job fairs, what happens is you can go because it's a private events largely. So you can actually meet various employers at one point in time, and you can select whosoever gives you the best offer. So it's a very win-win situation for both the organizations and for the candidates. Then last comes the cold calling and resume mining.
Oh, one more doubt, ma'am.
Yeah.
These days, many of the companies, they invite internship and they are converting the internship into placements.
Yeah, so
Provided
that
they
has been going on for very long time because the internship for engineering, MBA, medical line, not many for BEd, many courses have that internship as a part of their own curriculum.
No, now, earlier for internship, we had to pay it out of our pocket and then we can do an internship. And, it is up to the company to, decide whether the candidate, if at all there is a vacancy, they may consider it. But I think recently it has been changed. The company who is in requirement of someone, maybe in another 5 years, they are looking for interns,
To
for a
join for a
small,
short term period, yeah.
yeah, a small
Right.
stipend is paid and they are retained
Right.
for the future recruitment, maybe.
Right. So that's how they train them, because most of the what when you're hiring some people, a major problem comes not because of not skill set not matching with the organization. The major problems comes in not understanding the culture of the organization. They don't like the culture, they don't like the bosses, they don't like the environment where they are working in. So internship actually helps them in make understanding the entire culture. They come and see, they work with various functions, they see the organization through and through, and then they get used to of doing the work in that manner. See, again, I'm saying that millennials को engage करना within the organization is a very big task that the human resource is facing currently. Not just human resource, their own functional heads are also facing. So इनको engage करना, because you will see that the generation that we are producing now, like our own children, उनका when they study, when they sit down for studying or doing something, so their focus and attention is for a very limited period of time. Like we used to study for 6 hours at one go. Now they can't do that, and it is a problem with the entire generation. That because that's how they are so advanced. They know the technology by birth. I don't know how, how what is the wiring that is done in their mind, and they know certain things beforehand before it is introduced. So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a 4-year-old child today in the morning itself, and he had a phone in his hand, and I said, "कि इतना महंगे phone का क्या करो?" He has iPhone 12 in our society only. So I said, "What are you doing with iPhone 12 in your hand?" And he speaks very good English. So he said, "कि I took it from Papa because today is Sunday." So I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I am going to play Free Fire." I said, "But Free Fire has an age my son plays, so it is for 10 plus." He said, "No, I know. I have reached stage 52." I said, "Wow, that's so they have stages, and reaching stage 52 is a very typical, very difficult thing, because my son still has not been able to reach that stage." So the people who are now being born, they have phone and gadgets in their hand. So the way we have to engage them is totally different from how we were using different technologies or different things, different systems to engage older employees. So that's a new challenge that has come up when you are hiring or
But I
sourcing
think
candidates.
I have a
Yeah.
opinion. I feel that technological advancement is all fine, but there is a new term which has the new generation people, including my son is also born in 2002. They all use frequently, right from I think a small child,
Right.
break. The moment they sit for studies, they say break. 10 minutes and break. Because of the technological advancement, they are not able to focus. And I personally feel that this is going to open up a lot of avenues for in the field of psychology. Lot of,
Which
because
is
there will
opening
be a
up
lot of
already. So we are already talking
psychological
about
problems are
mental
there.
health. Yeah. So mental
Yes,
health was not discussed that seriously in the organizations before, but last 5 years we have seen clinical psychologists, HR people with psychology background. So giving preference to them. So lot many people are joining new workforce. So new opportunities are also opening up for various people, and obviously it would be required. So wherever people actually feel that physical disability or mental problems are two different things, but it's actually this similar, it's quite similar. So suppose you fall sick, you have fever, what do? If you fall sick and the fever is not coming under our control, we go to doctor and we meet a specialist, physician in that case. But when we start feeling stress or anxiety which is not being controlled by us, we actually take a lot of time to log kya kahenge. Parents are not really willing to go to psychologists or psychiatrists because they feel that wo pagal kehna shuru kar dein. So that term pagal has actually created a lot of problems in the society, which is not the case. Now the new generation which is coming up has ADHD, which is a very popular thing. ADHD is like these people cannot sit at one place for more than 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They have this attention deficiency. Yeah.
Now, regarding this, just for everybody's information, when my son was in 10th, he was also referred to the psychologist and told they told he has attention deficit
So
disorder.
ADHD, correct. So
Okay,
ADHD is basically
same
that.
thing. And
Yeah.
in the when you are younger, if you see the children of today's generation, around 99% will be having ADHD
Correct. They are.
because of the technology. And then in the 10th, like the school suggested that you do a psychological evaluation, and then it was informed. That procedure is there where you can take that advantage.
And they are
Then when it
specialists. They have studied ADHD, so they will give you guidance and mentoring in terms of how actually you can utilize your time and their time in a better way, how you can channelize their energy in a better way, how you can engage them in certain exercises and activities where they can bring out their best. So, that is the kind of thing. So again, that is why I'm saying that physically being unfit and mentally being unfit is very, very similar. It's just that we have tagged certain things, we have certain stereotypes attached to it, hence we take time to go to
But the other
psychologist,
side of it is like,
psychiatrist.
but see, the other side of it is that most of the children are being labeled like this. Like after 10th standard, we didn't go. We didn't go, and he was, and his results are okay.
When
It
my
is
son
not,
was born, he was told, the doctor told at the age of 3 that he has ADHD. Because my sister is into the same line, she's a psychologist. So she told me that there's no need to go and follow this, everybody is ADHD today. So you have to follow
everybody.
certain things, yeah. You just have to keep him engaged in certain ways. So now we found out that, when send him for physical activity, so he's very active physically. So you have to send him out for physical games. You can't give him gadgets and he won't be engaged. So the moment he goes out for 5-6 hours, he comes back and he studies for 1 hour, which is more than enough, and he brings 90% marks. So what more you can ask for? So again, similar different kind of things for different people. But yes, in organization, HR has to open up their mindset that people who are suffering from these smaller things, stress management and anxiety management has become a very big topic these days, especially after COVID or during COVID. Lot many people were facing difficulty in terms of working from home. So working from home became a very big challenge for many people because we don't realize these problems earlier, that when they come to office, we don't see their background and what kind of places they are staying, or what kind of facilities that they have at their home. But when online platforms started coming in, we started realizing that lot many people do not have space to go and sit at one place in their home, and where they can actually attend meetings and be there online for their opportunities. And that is bringing a huge amount of stress to them. They were anxious all the time. There were children talking in background. There were dogs barking in background. So, various kind of things, various kind of difficulties faced by them. So again, depending upon what kind of HR is there, so HR should have that kind of mindset along with the leadership management. Okay, now coming back to the hiring sourcing here. Cold calling and resume mining. So cold calling is basically one method where you have a database with you for certain position, you're just blindly calling people, telling them about your organization, that these are the facilities that the organization has, this is how. So you're marketing your organization to them and the position, and then whatever the result is. So very similar to how the sales happens. Then resume mining is basically a very important integral part of sourcing. So resume mining is that you have various resources available with you where you have resumes in plenty through database. Archana shared that particular thing that whatever resumes company has collected over a period of time. So you go through that once again, either through an ATS, which is a software, or manually. So you go through the details of the position, find out what are the keywords, match the keywords, and then bring out the best resumes from there. You don't have to write down. Go through it. The PPT is all yours. Yeah. So when now we come to the
down, ma'am, it will be retention will be more. If we
Sorry?
scribble it down, no?
Achha.
If we scribble it
You
down,
are
the
in the
retention.
same habit. Yeah. Some people
Muscle
have that
memory is
habit, yeah.
muscle memory. Another
Yeah.
thing is, these days we are losing the habit of writing. Everything is like this.
Correct.
So that way.
So, okay, so the next is talent sourcing. What do we do in talent sourcing? Very specific thing. We access the network, we validate resumes, flow job descriptions, identifying present candidates, and speak to candidates. So these are the very basic things that we do on sourcing. You have your job description readily available. You identify your keywords. You search for keywords in various platforms, or you put the job description in the market through advertisement or various methods that we talked about, or you access your network, which is there. Networking can be alumni, your network, organization internal network, IGPs, anything, to validate resumes, whether these resumes are valid today or not. Because when you are looking into the database which is there in your organization, some CVs will get older. Some people would have moved on from places they are already working in, or they have changed their designation. Some people leave the workforce entirely. Totally different kind of things, experiences. Then you present the candidates with you after matching the skill set, keywords, whosoever gets highlighted into your system, and then you speak to the candidate.
Ma'am, what is agile?
One of the skills.
Softwares.
No. Agile is also a method
Okay.
of finding candidates. It's also one of the skill that you can find in people. So in project management, especially in IT organizations and real estate organization, in project management, there are two ways, Agile and Scrum, that is being used for project management. Yeah. So Agile has actually come from there. But agility is basically one of these skill sets also that we look into people, look forward to in people. So this is talent sourcing. Now comes the funnel. Let's talk about the funnel part of it. So when we talk about talent funnel, how it should be filled in the organization is that you need to have the awareness about the job position, organization, brand, how good your organization is being sold out of the organization. Like you will see that people still prefer, even today, government jobs are still preferred over private jobs, because of the branding that the government jobs have done. Secondly, if people have to choose between private jobs, so they prefer going into the larger organizations which are there in the market from 70 years. So if you get hired by Tata, you will prefer going to Tata than the new companies which have opened up in last 20 years, right? Because of, again, the branding part. So awareness is really important in terms of your own organization, the position that you're selling, and the kind of culture that the organization has. Right? So people who are looking for challenging jobs, or not really working only for the money, but they want to create wealth. They join entrepreneurship business, e-commerce business which has come up. So a lot many people left their jobs from big corporates and joined e-commerce industry. Flipkart, HealthCart, Lenscart, so many organizations start coming in. They were paying really well to people who came from large corporates. And why people were joining? Because they loved challenging jobs, different kind of role, different kind of benefits that the organizations were giving other than the big compensation packages. That is how the branding is being done by most organizations. Then come the interest of the people.
Is it only because of challenging job, or is it because that they don't want to work under someone? Can also be, na?
People who start organization have this problem that they don't want to work in. But again, if they are hiring employees, so we are talking about employees here. So employees still have to work under somebody. In fact, in entrepreneurship, it is more closely managed by the entrepreneurs because the team is really small, and if they don't really share the vision, so you will see that startups and entrepreneurship business in initial days take a lot of risk in terms of hiring people. So they hire and fire a lot many times. So first 2 years actually goes into hire fire. Hire kiya, people are not matching their vision, people do not look into the startup the way they do, their dreams do not match with each other, so they go out. So that is what happens in entrepreneurship. In larger organization, why people still prefer to join similar to what government organization is, you still have job security. So challenging in terms of not just the role, challenging in terms of, you are not really interested in that a specific amount of money is coming every month. That is there, but what over and above that? So many new organizations or startups offer ESOPs, which is their own equity shares to the employees. So for example, it's a very common case study which is available on internet. If you must have read about it or know about it, there was a girl who was working with the company Alibaba. She joined as a receptionist and with Jack Ma when he opened up the organization Alibaba. She was hired as one of the receptionists. During that time, she bought certain shares of the organization. And when Alibaba reached to a level where now it became, Jack Ma became one of the richest Asian in the world. So, this girl reached to a stage where she was AVP, internal promotions and all that. And then she sold on the shares. And the value of the shares during that time when she sold it was in billions. So she became a billionaire. Right? So that's how people, if they have to create wealth, they join startups. Many startups give that options, not just salary, the compensation. So, that's one of the interests that can happen. So next is awareness ke baad is interest, matching interest of the employee with the organization. It is very important. So cultural orientation towards the organization is a very, very huge thing. So Yahoo, Google, many large organizations have a test based on their culture or the value system that the companies follow. They take a test on that for every employee that they have to hire, prospective employee, and then they hire people on basis how much they have scored. Right? Because other than the jobs and things, so they feel that many companies feel that jobs can be taught, skills can be upgraded. But cultural orientation is really important. That cannot be built. So you need to have certain basic principles which matches with the organization's principles and values. Other than that, you won't be there for a longer time period in the organization. Then comes the consideration whether the employee, the prospective employee, gives the consideration to the company or not. Basically, both ways. The organization also gives consideration to certain candidates or not. So that's the third stage of talent funnel. Then the intent to join or intent to hire should be there. If you people have done certain amount of hiring for your own organizations, intent to join becomes a very big challenge for many people. So people they take the offer letters, still they don't show up to the organization and they have to come. So it's a very big, huge problem that HR industry is facing. I mean, all organizations are facing. When people accept offer letters, still they don't come and join me. Yeah, so knowing about that intent is really important.
So what do you do in such a circumstance?
Can't do anything. There is no way.
What? I didn't.
You cannot do anything.
Okay.
You know, people who have accepted your offer letter and have not joined, there is no legal way of telling them to come and join the organization. You cannot give them fine. There's nothing that you can join. The maximum you can do is you can blacklist that candidate from your organization. So that's
Or else a clause can be kept now, like within such and such a date, if you are not going to join.
It is going to be very difficult for a country like India. This problem is very big in India because here, it is that value system is very weak. It's a very deep-rooted problem in us Indians. So no matter how much we say that, we are very skilled, we are very trainable. There are many good points for Indian population when it comes to joining the jobs and doing work. But intention is really a big challenge. So even for 500 rupees, I have seen people changing jobs and refusing offers just for 500 rupees. So again, so you cannot really do much about that particular thing. So that's a very common problem. In practical life, you will face that. It brings frustration, it brings sort of difficulties, but that's how the market is. So best way is that, you give offer letter to 2 or 3 people, or you keep people in funnel in terms of one, you have already offered the job. If he or she doesn't join, at least you have 2 more candidates you have shortlisted, very close to the competencies that you need in your organization. Then you can give the offer roll out to them. So you're not wasting time, because even then you are doing the entire cycle of sourcing, hiring, meeting people, interviewing, negotiation skills, everything you're doing. So instead of doing it just for one, do it for 3 minimum. Yeah, then comes the evaluation part. So intent it was like, whether the person will join your organization or whether you're interested in the candidate or not. Now comes the evaluation part of it. So evaluation can happen through first telephonic interviews, first meeting, n number of interviews. Every organization have their own internal process of hiring. Some people keep 2 interviews, some 3, some 4, totally depending upon how large the organization and how crucial the function is. Right? Apart from that, you can keep certain psychometric tests, aptitude tests, cultural tests, whatever is required. So there are now psychometric tests available in the market. There are certain softwares which prepare customized entire thing purely basis what is your requirement. So everything can be done technology based. You don't have to meet the candidate, send him or her the test. The result will come out immediately in 15 minutes. Set the time and then things are done. Then the purchase. So not really the purchase, but the negotiation part. So now you are actually hiring the candidate within the organization, which is the negotiation skills the negotiation between you and the candidate, HR and the candidate, and the offer rollout. So I personally consider recruitment as the entire process, a major part of sales, basically, not really as a part of human resource. It should be. You're actually selling your organization to somebody who's a prospective employee. In a similar manner, how you are doing it for the prospective customer. So a lot of similarities between the entire function. Many organizations have started hiring psychologists, people who have studied psychology, for recruitment process in order to understand the people much more better. That's a very crucial point. Once the person comes into your organization, you spend a lot of money in terms of your time, in terms of the salaries, in terms of the trainings that you provide to the person. Hence, it is really a huge step that the organizations are taking in hiring. And every wrong hire that a company does is actually very expensive for the organization. One, because you have already paid some amount of money as in terms of salaries and all. The person may or may not have worked properly. That's a bigger challenge. Second, somebody who is not really meant for your organization will talk a lot of negative things about your organization within and outside the organization. So you're actually um, keeping your branding also at stake. Yeah. Training, whatever you have given to that employee, goes completely waste because they are not utilizing those training in your company. So these are certain points where you are actually wasting money when a wrong hire is being done. So this is the same thing that we discussed. So what are the
So
various
is it,
sources of hiring? Yeah.
is it when the employee is not, staying with the company for too long?
Yeah, wrong hire in the sense that you realize that the employee is not meant for the job that you have hired him or her for, or the employee joins and tells that he or she have not understood the job really well in any which
So,
ways.
In spite of
so
all these
if
processes,
Yeah, sorry, one at a time. Sarmangla ma'am. Let's continue with Sarmangla
in
and
spite
with
of all
him.
these processes, can there be wrong hiring?
Yeah, why not? So see, it's a human, two human hiring. A human is hiring another human. You can take certain wrong decisions. So what happens during hiring? We'll come to recruitment, and then we'll talk about the challenges that recruitment faces. These are the challenges of sourcing. We are talking purely about sourcing, how the applicants are actually sending your applications. In recruitment, what happens is that our human, what do you call it, limitations comes into the picture. Like sometimes the functional head, let's talk about sales head. Sales head does not want to hire somebody who's much more smarter than him or her. They don't hire smarter people in their team members as a team members because of insecurity. Sometimes the biases comes into place कि नहीं यार ये उस specific region का है, काम करेगा या नहीं करेगा, करेगी या नहीं करेगी, so that regional biases are there. So that comes largely into picture about Biharis and UP people. Too much there. You go to any part of India, इन दो parts को लेकर बहुत सारे biases लोगों के दिमाग में होते हैं that they are meant for only specific skill set. It's not the case. So when you're sitting at a position where all these biases and prejudices should not come into place, you have to work towards that. That's why a lot of training goes into for recruiters, sourcers that they do not have to get involved into that. Still, human mind is the most complex thing in the world. You cannot study it in entirety. So lot many mistakes are bound to happen and can happen. And sometimes people say wrong thing in their resumes and CVs.
is it possible that if you have hired a person and you find that that person is not very much fit for the particular role that we have hired, so to save the company's expenditure, we are able to match him with match him or her with some other position which is already there,
Yeah.
and
So
try to save it.
deployment happens in many organizations. So see, any smart HR or functional head would first think of that particular thing. Again, as I said, smart HR because a lot many people I met during my career in HR were accidental HRs. They said हमें और कहीं job नहीं मिली और things were not opening up in other things, and because I prefer a sitting job, so I came into HR. So you will meet so many people who have accidentally come to HR, have not studied it thoroughly, do not understand the function in the depth, and that's when the mistakes happen. Smart HRs, people who know how to function in HR, especially sourcing, recruitment, talent management, performance management, they will first try to accommodate people in other functions until and unless it's a cultural difference between the employee and the company.
But is this HR a sitting job? Is it a stereotype or just a belief?
Depending upon the role. Again, see, as I said, company to company it differs. The role totally differs. So we talk about ki 7 functions hai, 7 functions of HR are there. Every HR has to do all this, and it doesn't happen that way. Larger organization, you're just playing a small role in the entirety of HR. So you might just be hired only to do, like you were applying for a job. So you were hired as a recruitment specialist or analyst for that matter. So you were not being given a chance to go into the training and performance management, compensation management, and other roles of HR. Smaller organization where you have less workforce and they cannot afford to hire too many HR, so they will give one or two people the entire job, which is called HR generalist, or people who come from a background, understand business, HR, strategic planning and all, and that's when they hire. So depending upon what role you are into, what function you want to do, but it has become much more easier now. Earlier, these things were not open out there. So people were either complete HR or they were welfare or industrial relations or labor officer. So they had to know all that thing. So that is the reason why we studied all of it, labor laws. So I remember all the labor laws by tips. So today you hire some HR people, even if they have done full-time MBA, they will not know about laws and legalities, which is a major part of it, because tomorrow any person can actually claim something that you've done wrong in the organization and take you to the court. So going to the court is not a hassle for larger organization, but unnecessary cost, wastage of time. Some people are utilizing their time. So you can avoid all these mistakes by learning and understanding laws and legalities.
Sometimes I think, ma'am, certain organization where I have seen they take in too many people, and finally they'll be in a position as to not to, they don't know as to what to give them,
Right.
the jobs that they have to assign. Because I remember once I was into this workforce training and I went into a particular organization and were too many employees, and they themselves didn't know as to, I was called in to sack some people. So which I am totally against that, to sack someone. So I
It's a
had one
major
to,
difficult job. The most difficult job
yeah,
I feel in HR is packing people.
yeah, it's too difficult
You get too
because
emotionally involved into the process, and it actually brings a lot of sleepless nights. For me, it did.
yes, yeah, you are done by evening, you are done. In fact, we cannot do anything. So one-to-one interaction went down. Only after 1 week, I realized that, actually they could be deployed in some training, could be given and can be shifted to some other place rather than sacking them,
Correct.
because we cannot,
Even now,
otherwise.
like lot many organizations closed down last 2 3 years. So what the good HRs did, for example, Jet Airways. When Jet Airways stopped their entire work, what they did was they opened up, the HR opened up the people in the market and tagging Indigo Airlines and other popular airlines, Air Asia and all, you can hire these good people from our organization directly. So that was a direct redeployment. So you